All right. By the way, before I forget, you're living in England right now, but it's Julien, or do you say Julien, or how do you say your name?
Julien.
Julien.
Different.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're in Paris today, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But based in London.
Yeah, I'm based in London. Correct. Yeah, I've been living in London for the past 4 years and a half now.
Okay. What's the scene like there for you, tech-wise?
That's probably the reason why I'm in London. Because London is probably one of the best places in the world for techies. Yeah.
Okay. So look, I mean, we've spoken before, and so you kind of know what the film's about, but just so it's kind of clear and on record, I guess, you know, we're looking at blockchain and AI and other fourth industrial revolution tech, but in the way it's going to change society, in the way things might get better or worse for people, what they should learn. So what I wanted to do was talk about you, what you've done, about idBbox, maybe some of the other stuff that you're doing, and also talk some like big picture stuff around what your vision is. And I kind of have some idea because we spoke before, but if that wasn't allowed, so it's a little bit different. So first of all, just so we got it, tell me who you are, what you do, and like what your background is.
So myself, so my name is Julien Bouteloup. So I first started teaching mathematics and physics, and then I moved to engineering school, and I got graduate in Unedited system, electrical engineering in France, and then I moved to the States, where I got a master in computer science, kind of specialized in AI and decentralized economy.
Where in the States did you go? And if I interrupt, it's just to make sure I get all the information I need. So
yeah, that's fine. That's completely fine.
Where in the US were you?
I went to Union College in New York State, near Schenectady. It's very close to Albany. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So you studied blockchain and AI. So there can't be that many people that have done that.
It was not called blockchain. That was just decentralized systems. And AI was called, is still machine learning. And a lot of people use AI for everything. Well, they actually don't use AI, but maybe just modify a specific algorithm, kind of like machine learning, deep reinforcement learning, and all this stuff.
Okay. All right. So look, I'm going to try and make sure I understand stuff in simple terms. So I don't mind if I get stuff 5% wrong, but tell me if I'm like off the mark. So look, do you know what? We started speaking about idBbox. So why don't we talk about idBbox specifically as a way of like diving into the conversation? What is it? How did it happen? What does it do?
So basically, the main idea behind idBbox is to try to solve the identity issue in developing countries. So if you think about it, we've got about I think it's about like 2 billion people worldwide that don't have identity systems. So meaning that when you don't have identity for people, they cannot access any third-party service. So it's very hard for them to first get insurance or like healthcare or any services that are usually provided by the government. And also they cannot transfer money or remittance.
So talking about that, because that's, you're like reading up a little bit about it, it seemed, and I don't want to be like down on Western Union, but I'll be down on Western Union. It seems like from the story you said that they take like 30, 40, 50%. So people quite often, by the time they've paid for transport, only get a small amount of money that they're meant to be getting.
Yeah, so basically, I first started working on idBbox. It's not just me saying, oh, idBbox would be cool, or to solve identity issues, a massive problem worldwide. I was in London, and then I went to this hackathon called, there was a fintech hackathon organized by someone I know in London and sponsored by a company, Associates, who's the
ABT. So we've actually interviewed Jane, so we know about Jane, and we've heard about that.
So,
but it was a fintech hackathon, but this is like an NGO activity, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So I talked to her, and she explained me all the different problems in developing country, and all this kind of stuff, like transferring money and all this stuff. And most of the people over there, they were focused on building an amazing smartphone application, amazing app, or like something that looks good. But if you look at the market, if you look at the developing country and people in developing countries, they don't have internet, they don't have smartphone, and they don't have electricity. So if you try to solve a problem over there, it's very unlikely that smartphone will solve the problem, because maybe in 10 years or 15 years time, right now they don't have this technology. So you need to find something that they can use right now. So that's why I built the idBbox system. And idBbox is a system that provides a unique identification process for people. As soon as they register to the idBbox, then they can have access to different services. So then coming back to your Western Union comment statement is at the moment in Papua New Guinea, when someone wants to get money, let's say you've got a family and they send the son or the daughter to the state or Australia. When they generate an income and they want to send the money back to their family in the village, so what they do, they send money to Western Union, and then someone to the family in the village has to travel all the way down to the capital, spending something like 60 kina or something, which is probably a day of walking, more than that. So they have to spend money first to get money from their son, and when they reach the capital, Western Union, Western Union charge 40% fees in Papua New Guinea. So it's basically
40%.
Yeah, I think they were telling me this. It's probably one of the highest fees in the world, and so it's basically saying, if you want to get money, you need to spend money, which doesn't make sense for us, because normally getting money is not about spending money.
So it's like poor people getting screwed because they're poor, basically.
Yeah, basically it is. If you're rich, you get richer, and if you're poor, you get poorer. That's basically the thing. It's very sad. And most of the people in the village, they basically, for them, they don't have cash or they don't have money, because it's very hard to get money. A system like idBbox or the blockchain, more like the blockchain idea, is basically to send money across the world without waiting, like almost instantly, and also without paying any fees. That's the main idea. And
right, so I kind of want to make sure I've really unpacked this. So, like when I've been listening and hearing about fintech businesses and saving fees and remittances, it feels like we're talking about a $5 fee going down to 50 cents. We're talking about 1% going to 0.5%. But here we're talking about things going from 40% down to like a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction, right?
Yeah. If you spend $100 in Papua New Guinea, it's probably very likely that the family will get something less than $40.
Okay. This also means that at some stage, maybe the money doesn't go to dollars. It stays as Ethereum, or it stays as one of the cryptocurrencies, or Bitcoin, or am I not getting that bit?
Yeah. So you've got that's something I was looking at from the very beginning of the project. If you look on the idBbox.io website, I was looking into building a tool that people have incentive to actually start using it, instead of me pushing for people to start using a tool. Like if you're like saying to people, okay, I've got this tool, this device that can create a unique identity. But for them, it's like, okay, cool. What do you want me to do with the unique identity? I already exist, it doesn't make any sense for them. So the incentivization model, algorithm, like kind of economic model, is basically, as soon as they get access to the idBbox or the create a unique identity, they can first sell electricity, because the box, you can charge the box using solar panel, and as soon as you charge them using solar panel, then you can sell electricity back to the people, because electricity is a massive problem. At the moment, they don't have smartphone, but most of them, they have analog phone.
All right, so Papua New Guinea, there is no, basically talking really backward villages, no power, no like government services, like very, I don't know if backward is the wrong word and I shouldn't use that, but very basic. They've got no modern conveniences, right?
Yeah. It's a microeconomy. everything happen in the village is sell in the village. Nothing is, they don't actually export anything. They produce everything in the village and they consume everything. So
your idBbox, and I've got to kind of go into what it is. Is it kind of almost like, it's almost like a little mini town hall or a little bank branch or a little like post office all in one little box for the village? Is that right?
Yeah, what I like to call about idBbox and the spirit behind idBbox is, instead of all the corporation institution trying to bring everyone from the village into the capital, so moving everyone from the countryside to the capital, I feel like idBbox is about the opposite. Is to bring all the different third-party service into the village. So then you don't have any incentive for people to move out of the village, because they can actually start using, they can do like healthcare, they can renew the healthcare into the village, they can send money across the world, they can receive money, they can also get access to electricity. And the box has also something which is nice, because when you send money from the state or Australia or anywhere in the world to those people in the village, you can basically, obviously it's using Ethereum at the moment, so people receive Ethereum, but they still want to use local money like Kina in the village. So what they do, they go to someone that's got a box, like a local shop, and then they send the Ethereum that they received on the, so they can use something like, I think I could actually show you the box.
Oh yeah, I was about to ask you if you had one, but I thought maybe you hadn't bought one to Paris with you.
No, because I'm traveling. But this is basically one of the idBbox card. This is linked to you. So when you register yourself to the idBbox, you link your phone number, so your analog phone number, to this ID, to this like worldwide public key. Okay. And also your biometrics are linked to this card.
All right, so look, we need to go back, and we haven't actually explained what an idBbox is, and I need to get it. So I just looked online to make sure I got it. So it's a Raspberry Pi with a SIM card, a fingertip sensor, although you can plug in other biometric ID, and a solar panel. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this was the first version of the idBbox. Now the new version's got an Android operating system, and you can plug new biometrics module. So first we're talking about fingerprint, but ideally you can also link iris recognition system and blood sensor. But I really want to emphasize one point is there is no private information or private biometric information or whatsoever about the person being shared on the public market or on a blockchain. Because for me, which is basically the holy grail about identity. Identity is what? If you want me to define identity in 2 points, is one, identity has to be unique. So, but at the same time, identity has to be anonymous, which is a paradox. How can you prove that someone is unique, but at the same time is anonymous, but you don't want to have access to the data, which is basically what we're trying to build into the blockchain. But it's because you don't want to build a system where you can track everyone. So the idBbox at the moment is not really, you can't really scale like worldwide. It has to be very local based, like a village, because it's also based on GPS location. So for a village of 1,000 people, 100,000 people, it's okay. And then they can use the box for different services.
All right, so what I heard you understand is like, you can't guarantee someone is there, but if you take like 3 bits of biometric evidence, you kind of know they're likely to be true. If they're really in a place with a fingerprint and a blood sample or an iris scan, it's harder to cheat 3 things, but it's easier to cheat 1 thing. Is that right?
So the idBbox is not about stopping people creating multiple identity, because this tool will never stop people creating multiple identity. And I think we shouldn't actually stop people building multiple identity. But as a third-party service, what you want to know, like an institution, like a bank, or like someone that provides a certain service, like a healthcare provider, you don't really care about the information of the person, but you just want to know if this person is unique and also trustworthy. Because if you need to send if you need to renew the healthcare or provide free money from the government cannot spend the same money for the same person multiple times. So the government just want to make sure this person is unique, but doesn't actually care about the user information. At the moment, we take it as something that is normal. You know, you go to like even in developed country, you go and open a new bank account, or you go and for a new third-party service, and the person from the service, they ask you, oh, where do you live? Are you single? Are you married? Are you all this kind of private information that normally no one should actually. Normally you shouldn't share this information. This is private. This is your information. So the idBbox is starting from there as well. We provide like.
So you're bringing in your principles of privacy and transparency both at the same time. Like you're executing that in a real box.
Yeah, that's the main idea. So the box, so the idea behind the box is as soon as you create a unique identity, you are linked this kind of idBbox card, linked to your phone number, linked to your biometrics. The biometrics, the private information about the biometrics we call the public key is deleted because you are the private key. This is you, the public, the information. But then you are incentivized to always use the same card because this card will build trust on the top of it. By building trust, then you will get a cheaper rate for something or like cheaper membership and all this stuff.
All right, so in a way, it's like replacing how things were maybe 20 years ago where, like, I remember back in the day, when I was a kid, I could open up a bank account in any name as long as I wasn't trying to be fraudulent, or in the UK at least. Whereas in the US, I can't even change how I spell my name to the way I actually use in real life because... So this isn't like a driving license. This isn't kind of like a social security number because they're tied to you. This is more like... if like idBbox is the corner store with nice Mr. whoever who runs it, and he knows that he'll let you off. If you've forgotten your money, he'll let you take that Coke out of the store because you're going to come back next day and give him the dollar that he needs. That's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's
kind of.
That's a vision. Yeah, that's a vision. You don't want to build a like. I know like you've got company worldwide like the Aadhaar project. And the other project, people, I mean, it's part of the Indian process of registering, getting everyone on board or something. But I think it's very bad because what they do, they get the fingerprint of people, so they get people biometrics, and then they save the biometrics into the data server. But it's very likely, I mean, you can almost be 100% sure, not 100% sure, but 99.999% sure that this data will be leaked to the public markets, I mean, one day. If you think about those big corporations like Amazon, they got billions. They try to secure their data, but everyone got their data stolen. So by putting biometrics of people into a data center somewhere, it's very likely that people will lose their biometrics. And as soon as you lose your biometrics, it's private identity system. So I think it's very bad. And this is something I don't want to build in the idBbox system.
Okay, now that's really interesting. So I kind of want to stick on idBbox just for a little bit, but I'm going to write biometrics down because I want to explore that, and that kind of scares me, but I've got lots of questions for you. So look, idBbox is basically a business that will be like a public benefit business, so it's going to make money, but it's also got like an NGO ethic behind it, I guess is a good word. You've done an experiment in Papua New Guinea. You're doing one in India and Africa next, is that right?
Yeah. So we've got we done one in Papua New Guinea that was about like 6 months ago, in a village called Lalova. It's a very remote village. It's about like 8 hours drive to get there. So we got in the pipeline. We got India, Africa, and South America.
Okay. So tell me about the village. So, because is the experiment still going on in the village, or is this something you did for 2 months and then went and left, or how does it work?
Yeah. So the idea was to get everyone on board and register all the people there, so then they can start transferring money to each other, and also like sell electricity and use the box like a local shop. If you look at the picture online, you see someone from the local shop got the box, and then you can sell electricity back to the village, and also you can trade a currency, so act as a local exchange. But
I
The
love the way,
problem
by
is,
the way, that all this energy trading I'm seeing on the blockchain is all very high tech and all these sexy machines that look like like designed by Apple. And your box, for anyone who's not going online, is like this big orange box that looks like something you'd have in your toolbox, or like a power
yeah,
tool. It's big and rugged and
yeah. Basically, I actually built the idBbox in my. So the idea was to build something which is open source and based on Raspberry Foundation and all those people. So I first built a 3D printer in order to build the box, because I didn't have a 3D printer, a good one. So I built a 3D printer, and then I start building the box, that's why it's actually the color is orange. And instead of building something which is black and very sleek design like Apple or something, I saw that for people in a village that never seen any technology in their life, it's probably much better than having something which has more like a nice, charming art, like kind of good colors, the color-wise. So that was the idea. And
so you build, so you code and you physically build. You're a maker as well as a coder, or as an engineer.
Yeah.
Whether
yeah, that's so I've been doing for the past 20 years. I've been doing programming, so I'm a developer, but my background is also hardware, so I know how to build hardware system, and more likely about AI and machine learning. So I can actually build something which has software and hardware and put it together and to build a box. That's basically the box. The box got hardware, battery, energy system, so you can trade energy, you can trade money, currency, and you can onboard people. And the idea about the box, if you look on the picture on the website, any third-party service, you can actually develop app on the box. The box can be used for a voting system.
So that's what I was going to ask you about. I was sitting there listening to you thinking about Mr. Robot, when I've just been watching him build shit and then program shit, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking to Mr. Robot. But tell me about voting in the box. Tell me about voting in the box.
Yeah, so voting is a big issue in developing country, and not also in developing country, maybe in developed country as well, because corruption and people manage somehow to vote twice or 3 times or whatsoever. But in developing country, when you don't have any infrastructure, it's very hard to vote. I mean, Papua New Guinea has got, I think it's almost near 90% of people are like official identification system. I think it's a bit less, like 88 or something. But so for them, it's probably impossible to vote. So we're talking about a country that only 10% of the population can vote. And what is the percentage of this 10% that will actually vote? It's not a lot, yeah? Yes. So almost probably like 1 or 2 population vote. And plus the corruption, meaning that a country like this is not very, it's not very transparent in how the people on the top, they were not very elected by the people living in the country. It's just people living on the top that elect the people on the top. So bringing this kind of device is a good way for people that never seen any technology, never been to capital or poor, and don't have access to services to be able to vote and have access to expression, basically, and transparency.
So in a way, like the idBbox could help bring, like M-banking has in Africa, mobile phone banking in Africa, like completely leapfrog the West in terms of technology and trust, if it takes off.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's to.
So do you think you use idBbox? Would it work in the West for voting, or would you need a very different solution for voting in the West?
I think in the West, this is already coming. We all have a smartphone. So the smartphone is basically a decentralized idBbox. You don't really need an idBbox in the West because you've got a phone. But the only problem you don't have is a unique identification system, meaning that you need to guarantee that someone that has used a phone to vote is a unique person and is actually the person behind the phone that vote. So this is not coming yet. So I think idBbox could be a good solution in term. So it's like a system. You go to an office, and then and you can vote. We already do that at the moment, but we use paper. And even if people close the box and all this stuff, you cannot be 100% sure that what happened to the paper you vote. You put in the box. So using blockchain and digital voting, is very, you can be 100% sure that the vote is the one you actually choose.
Okay. So look, I'm gonna loop back round to that, but an idBbox sounds really interesting, but I kind of want to move the conversation on a little bit. What other things are you doing right now?
So I'm working on different projects and also doing open source contributions, but I'm working on a project called Flying Carpet.
Okay. Can you talk about that or not?
Yeah, I can talk about it. It's online as well. Flyingcarpet.network. So basically, the idea about Flying Carpet was born when I always had this idea about a decentralized autonomous transportation system that everyone can use, no one can stop, and no one can control.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds a bit scary, but it's for helping people actually. So in 2009, like when I was in the States building, I did my thesis around autonomous robots, autonomous decentralized robot organization. So it's a robot that you can control anywhere in the world and it can do different tasks. So the idea behind Flying Carpet is a decentralized autonomous organization, a transportation system that if you buy a drone, you can connect your drone to the system and then you forget about it because the drone is very expensive. So according to studies, is most of the people that buy a drone, they buy a drone which costs like $1,500 or $1,000 US, and then they use it 2 or 3 times. They take a picture of the family, they take a picture of the house, but then they forget about it. It's like a toy, it's like a gadget. But what about if you buy a drone? It's like buying a car. What about renting your car? This is the same. So you can buy a drone, you can connect the drone to the market, to the decentralized network by scanning. You have a QR code, you scan the drone, and then you leave it outside. You can put it somewhere like in a house, and then you leave it outside. You forget about it. You can go to the office, and basically the drone will be used by the protocol automatically. So when you're sitting like you at the moment, you're sitting on your desk on a chair. The Flying Carpet app will tell you, oh, your drone was used 10 times today, and you generate $250 US. And the Flying Carpet is basically the one. The Flying Carpet is a decentralized docking station that you can carry, you can in your backpack, okay, and you can put it everywhere, So it's a docking station, it's a decentralized autonomous docking station that can be installed anywhere in the world, that can charge any drone in the world at any moment of time. So you can put it in your
Am I thinking right? So like loads of cities have public bikes. It's the equivalent of that kind of system, but you own each bike and anyone can come along and borrow it but so it sits there. Your app also powers it, so you don't need to worry about looking after it. And so it's almost like Airbnb / bike sharing /
Yeah, but the thing is, like in Airbnb, if you think about this is a completely decentralized organization system. So no one controls the drone. As soon as you plug your drone into the service, no one controls it. So I can be a drone owner. I plug it into the system. You can be a Flying Carpet owner. You've got a rooftop, you've got a garden, or you live in the countryside, and you would like to make money in your garden or something because you live in the countryside, but you don't know how. So you buy this Flying Carpet, which is called it's a cost-efficient device. You put it in your Flying Carpet in your garden, and then you forget about it. And the Flying Carpet will be used during the day by drones. They will come, they will charge themselves, and they will leave. And then your Flying Carpet would generate an income, a stream income. So you will make money just by it's basically utilizing your garden. It's basically selling.
No. So it sounds like it's playing into. There's this big trend now with what I'm seeing with blockchain and AI that jobs are going to go, but people are going to be earning money different ways. It might be universal basic income. It might be that you're getting paid by the new Facebook to use your data to sell advertising back to you. And it might be that you've got bits of equipment. You're like a one-person business, bits of equipment in your garden or on your roof, making you money when you're just sitting there.
Yeah, basically it's because like for example, in developing country, such a technology will be massive need. You can ship like medicine stuff can be transported in 2 different locations very far away from each other. You got people that die because no one can bring them some just medicine. Even at NGO or UNICEF, they got the medicine, but it's too dangerous to just cross the border or to just go somewhere because it takes too long. You need an helicopter. But with this technology, flying carpet, you can install different flying carpet around the developing country, and as soon as someone needs something, then the drone will just transport the medicine to a different place. But you can also do, imagine in Africa for rhinoceros. You say rhinoceros?
No.
Like elephant, for the elephants.
Oh, okay,
yeah. So you got a lot of corruption, a lot of people killing them to sell the I don't know how you call it, but
ivory.
Yeah, ivory. Yes, yeah. Exactly. But you could basically plug into like a flying carpet around this region to analyze and to track people trying to kill those elephants. This kind of technology can be used for different things. We think about that probably people will be using it for terrorism and all this stuff, which is not true, because the service is actually, if you want to build any service or any task into the system, it used what we call zero knowledge proof, proving that the system you've tried to build is not trying to harm people. And any algorithm that is built is pushed into a virtual engine. So I don't know if you know the game GTA.
I'm aware of it a little bit. I've never played it, but yeah, I'm aware of GTA. But go on.
So now you've got games that actually look like reality. So what I do with this platform, this new protocol, is I build a service like something that will track elephant, or something that will actually ship medicine. So anyone can build any device, any service, or any task, and the task is pushed into the game, and the game has a drone, and the drone fly inside the game. And what I do, I analyze any collision. I analyze if the drone is doing any bad things in the virtual world. So it's basically doing simulation in the virtual world to make sure that the real world is safe.
That's next level shit. That's definitely, I'm reading, not an Asimov book, I'm reading a book right now, there's something similar, and I'll end that conversation. So look, how far are you on that? So right now you're still developing it, like the software virtually, the behaviors virtually? Is that where you're at?
No. So I've done a proof of concept. I've done one in, so I did a demonstration in Ethereum DevCon in Cancun. That was last month, and I ran two proof of concept. One in a coconut plantation to analyze the number of coconut in the plantation, and another one for a farmer. And so for the farmer, it's very important because you can analyze the biomass in the field. So even it's pretty big. So the farmer knows exactly half an hour before going inside the field, what is the quantity for each kind of like per square meter to put on the land. So talking about pollution and all the different stuff for global warming and all the, like, for the environment is very big. It's very nice. Then you reduce the amount of pollution that people need for treating a special plant or for agriculture or for different.
So how do you understand? I mean, a lot of people I speak to kind of feel like they're in their tech bubbles in Silicon Valley or Silicon Beach, don't really get real world problems. It seems like you're very aware of issues for farmers, issues for people who've got very kind of few opportunities. Is that from like going to Papua New Guinea? Is that just because that's where your interest is, or?
I was born in the countryside, and then I moved to the city when I was 11. And then I've been traveling to more than 20. I think it's more like 20 countries over the past 9 months. And I was traveling a lot before, so I did a lot of couch surfing when I was younger, and I went to different countries, kind of dangerous country or Middle East and all this stuff. I think I mean, I'm a techie. I would consider myself probably like a geek. I do like programming all day, but I also like I've got like a nomad life. So I travel a lot. I meet people. I go to the ground and I talk to them. So I think it's probably different from people that for them they go to a 9 to 5 job and they stay behind the screen trying to make money or to pay for the rent at the end of the month. It's probably a different kind of lifestyle.
But also, you know, it's a lot of people I speak to have great ideas, especially in blockchain, and going, "Wouldn't it be awesome?" And you know, you just said a lot of stuff that really would be awesome. But I also know that you sold your first company when you were 14, and you've done lots of businesses. So I take it you've got quite practical ideas and knowledge about how to execute what works. Am I missing?
Yeah, maybe. I think it's also a lot of luck. You know, it's just.
I think you're obviously a big thinker and you think through problems from lots of different issues. So when I spoke to Dr. Jane Thomason and she was talking about you, she was just asking you how you asked a million questions and then understood the problem with no ego, I guess. I don't want to be like blowing smoke up your ass or anything, saying you're great, but it was interesting that, you know, I think a lot of people think they know the answers, and you go off and explore, which I think is really important.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't. That's. I can be very. I just ask questions. Sometimes I'm a very annoying guy. I'm.
So look, I know also, like you said some stuff that you're obviously worried about where the world is going. And, you know, looking at your LinkedIn, I know you had a security company on there that, you know, you may or may not want to talk about. But actually, let me ask you this one question. What scares you about kind of seeing this new technology that's happening around you? I want to go into like what excites you, but what scares you? You know, we spoke about voting, we spoke about biometric hacking, and if you lose your biometric, actually, let's start about that. I don't want to put you on the spot. Biometric hacking. So Apple, you know, Face ID. If someone gets your face, you have no individual unique ID, right?
Yeah, I think Apple is doing something more, a little bit more sophisticated than just. I'm not sure if you just print an image from Facebook and try to log. It will actually work because they've got like a spectral camera or something that can do like laser beams. But yeah, that's basically the idea. I think more we're trying to create something which is unique. It's nice I mean, people are kind of bored of just always entering the password, remembering a password, and trying to log in the system using a password. So using your biometric and your unique identity, it's kind of, in terms of user experience, it's much better. But in terms of security wise, I think brings a lot of problem on the table. I mean, it's kind of scary knowing that you just need yourself as a body biometric system that you can unlock any device. What happens if this kind of biometric system get linked into the blockchain? I mean, it's like talking about, okay, now we're building biometric, now we're building facial recognition system. Next will be what? Will be like blood analysis, will be DNA, like DNA.
And there's no guarantee you're not being coerced into giving that as well.
Oh, myself, I don't.
Coerced as in forced. Like, there's no guarantee that someone isn't forcing you to put your face in front of the camera. They may not be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so what's the answer? It sounds like from idBbox you're thinking about building trust. So that means what? Like you log into a trusted computer. Your phone says you're in a place where you tend to be rather than in a different country. Those kind of things.
Yeah. So you've got what I call something like I like to say segmentation witnesses. So the box uses kind of segmentation witnesses for onboarding people. So if you are in a safe area or in a safe village, you know how much corruption you got in this village, or very likely that people will use corruption to bribe other people. So if you ask someone, okay, the only way to get on board is to ask someone that is already on board.
Okay.
But maybe these people can be bribed, yeah? So you can give a lot of money to these people who's already on board, like on the idBbox platform, and then these people will just get him on board because he receive a lot of money. It's not something you want to do. So what you do, kind of like segmentation witnesses, or like you ask the network. So you basically send a lot of different SMS to different people across the network, and you ask a question, which is basically a bet. You say, do you know this person? Do you know this number, this phone number? Is this phone number unique? You reply yes or no. And if you lie, then you're punished. So your rating system drops.
Okay.
Fall down. So then you got incentivization. You got an incentive economy where people are more forced to tell the truth than tell lies. And this is how you onboard people. But secondly, it's not by building a unique identification system that you because what happens if someone steals your unique identification system? Then it's very dangerous, and it's very hard to get your unique identity system. So what you do is, as I mentioned before, you build identity system that you've got economic incentive to always use. I mean, use this unique ID or to use this identity more often than another identity, because you know that by using this identity, you will build trust on the top of it.
All right. So two things we're saying there is we shouldn't think of like absolute security, but likely security. What the proven chances? So right now we're using systems that can be hacked, and you hack it once and it's gone. But what you're suggesting, or what we're moving towards, is systems where like 20 things or 50 things get checked. So you can hack one thing, you can hack one person, but you can't hack the whole community. You can't hack everything.
Yeah, it's basically like the blockchain. I mean, blockchain, if you think about Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the technology that are running on the top of blockchain, is not because blockchain is 100% secure. I mean, blockchain is not, mathematical algorithms are not 100% secure. Cryptographic mathematical algorithm can always be break by a more powerful computational power. So the idea behind blockchain is just because the incentivization economical model, you get more incentivization for people like hackers or like bad actors on the blockchain to use, to behave correctly than doing something wrong, because they will earn more money by doing the right thing than actually try to cheat the system. That's basically the blockchain.
I've got a side question before I go back to that. So I don't quite understand quantum computing, but I think it's one of your things where things are a 0 and 1 at the same time. Someone told me blockchain isn't possible, or it's like quantum computing doesn't play with blockchain. Is quantum computing going to kill blockchain? Do I not understand it? Can you talk to me around that?
Yeah. I give some conference about quantum computing and also quantum physics. I think quantum computing at the moment, like IBM and Google, they pretend to have a QE kind of quantum computer. I think it's not really true. They're probably like working on the marketing and trying to do some buzz, but they're really getting close to it. And people are saying that quantum computing will not break the blockchain. This is not true. If you keep the blockchain as it is now, quantum computing will be breaking. It's very likely that quantum computer can break the blockchain because it's just a matter of computation, power computation. But the thing is, like, we're not stupid. So in order, like the open source community and the blockchain ecosystem, it's just a matter of you always try to keep updated. So if you got access to that much of power, you bring the security that level. But then if the computational power increase there, then you just increase the security. So it's very likely that instead of using normal cryptographic algorithm, we'll be using computational, like a quantum encryption system. So it's just a matter of using. So instead, in order to fight against quantum computer, you just build quantum algorithm. I mean, the same level, and that's it. You just keep always.
Okay, right, that makes sense. And so I may not understand this very well, and I asked you this question before. Where does a hash graph go into this? Because a hash graph isn't a blockchain. It's hashed in. I don't know what I'm saying. How does hash graphs play into this?
Uh, well, basically, that's the blockchain at the moment is about forking. So you fork and then you try to follow the path. Well, hash graph, if you think about it, is just different paths everywhere, and then they can connect to each other.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically.
That's a really good explanation. All right, so right now, blockchain is a park, and there are paths through the park, and hash graph is you can walk anywhere on the grass. Kind of.
Basically, yeah. If you think of it, yeah, that's basically something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Simple is good for me, and simple is what I need for the project. So, look, looping back to ID and trusted identity. Actually, one of the more popular videos that we had on our site was I was talking about the China social scores, which is about building trust. So, you know, I'm hearing opinions about how it's scary, and you know, you can't be an individual that likes to do weird things because your social score will go down. Versus what you're talking about, which is you have to create trusted individuals for the system to stay secure. That's
a problem. I mean, that's normally when you build a system, you try to be agile. I mean, agile is something like you only think about baby step. Baby step is basically you've got a problem, you try to solve it. But obviously, if you think about the big picture, so at the moment we got a problem about scaling. Proof of work, how can we scale? And then we're talking about proof of stake, how you can stake, and also the biggest. So we have this problem about identity, but the second problem is kind of what's the question again? I mean, I'm lost.
we were just talking about the China social score, or the notion.
Yeah. So that's
versus,
yeah. So sorry. Yeah, I think it's about that's what I was saying. It's a governance problem. So innovating in order to scale this kind of like bring the identity system, try to scale, have more trust into the blockchain, you need to bring this identity system with trust. So you need to build trust, like node of trust, so people can have trust and can build trust. But at the same time, I think like socially, we also, at the same time, we destroy the kind of social connection. Because, example for myself, my friend built this platform called BlaBlaCar. It's a carpooling system. I've been using it for more like 7 years. So when I drive or when I go somewhere, I take people into my car. And BlaBlaCar was probably one of the biggest, probably the first one so Frederick Mandela that built the system. He built something called, I mean, he likes to call it Superman trust. So it's a system, and if you think about it, that this kind of system came after the centralized corporation world, which we call the sharing economy. And the sharing economy is something based on a bit of trust. So Airbnb, Uber, all the systems are functioning because we got rating system. But at the same time, I feel like we also changing the social interaction between people. Because when I get people into my car, sometimes I would like to be, I'm not a very diplomatic guy, but I try to work on that. I mean, if you talk to Jane, she's like, Julian, you should be more diplomatic sometimes. But, well, basically what I want to say is sometimes I don't tell people the truth, or I don't say something because I know that this person is going to rate me. So when he leaves the car, I want to have a nice rating. So I'm like, I just cannot be objective and not very subjective on what I want to say. So I think we're changing the social interaction by doing that. At the same time, we need them because we need to build this centralization economy. But at the same time, I think we're changing the interaction between people. Because what happens if you get invited to a meeting or like for lunch or like for dinner and you're dating someone, and then the person at the end of the dinner will rate you. You probably behave differently though if you were not being rated. So
we always have to be performers.
Yeah, that sounds like. I mean, that's the reason why we're building. I think the before we were thinking about a unique identification system, and now we're thinking about like building different identity.
So like your work identity,
exactly.
Your private identity, it needs to admit that we all have our bad days and we're pissed off or we have a migraine.
Yeah.
come across badly or whatever else.
Yeah, and I think it's part of humans' behavior that everyone sometimes once in his life can lie, you know? If you lie or if you tell the truth, I think it's part of human nature. But China is building a system where everyone is being tracked, everyone that, I mean, all the CCTV, they're planning to install millions of CCTV across the entire country. So everyone in the world, everyone in the country will be tracked, so they'll be able to analyze people, build data analytics and all this stuff, which looks like the Skynet for. And,
yeah. I need to talk to someone in China that's involved with that and get the score. I've had some comments on Facebook going, you guys don't really know what's going on, or on Reddit, I think when I was on some forums, but then I realized these people were quoting articles that were 4 years out of date. And I'm going, well, no, look at these articles from like last month. So anyway, that brings us to the whole sense of privacy and transparency, which I think matters to you as well. I mean, what are your thoughts about where the world is going? What are the principles that need to guide us, do you think, moving forward around privacy and transparency?
Well, it's the holy grail about identity. Is we need to build a system where everyone is. We can trust each other, but we remain anonymous. And if you think about Bitcoin, like if you want to transfer money, you've got all those big corporations, all those big institutions, especially finance, banking world. They like to say, we don't want to use Bitcoin because it's going to be used by by fraud. I mean, people doing like money laundering and maybe financing terrorism and all the stuff, which at the end of the day, I don't think this is true. First, because Bitcoin is not 100% anonymous at the moment. But I think cash is probably the easiest way to finance all this stuff. But I feel like we need to build a system like blockchain. We need to drive blockchain in such a way, like all the different technology that we're building, decentralization and all this stuff. Focus on identity. I mean, focus on anonymous, but at the same time trust. And for me, I think it's kind of paradox. It's very difficult to build. I mean, we've got all the system about governance. The two big topics at the moment in the blockchain ecosystem are identity and governance. How can you build governance such system that, because obviously we're building decentralized application. We're building application that will never be able, that's what is very scary in the blockchain technology. Blockchain is a decentralized database, but it's a decentralized infrastructure. So as soon as you build a system on the top of it, like a smart contract, so if you build a decentralized application, normally this decentralized application, you cannot stop it.
So I was talking to this one guy, Ray, who's an interesting Norwegian guy who used to be, maybe, I don't know, let's say around anonymous. And they were talking about data minimization, which is the notion that, you own your data and it's in a pod and you only give out just enough data for that transaction, that amount of trust, that amount of... So it's, interesting concept.
Well, I think data is probably when you talk about privacy, is probably the biggest part of the new decentralized economy. So we came from a sharing economy, and now we need to move to decentralized economy. If you think about before that was the centralized world. So basically all those big corporations. I mean the web, like created by the English guy team.
Berners-Lee, yeah.
Yeah, it's not about a web, which is a peer-to-peer protocol, but the web was never like that. I mean, even if people like to say, the web is something that we can send information across each other, but it's not true. Web, as soon as the web was created, you got those big monsters, like a corporation like Google, Yahoo, and all those big guys. They built system that called Chrome, Safari, all those kind of system that for us, we need to access the web. So if we want to access the web, we need to use them. And by using them, they have access to our data. I mean, Facebook or Google makes 100 billion profit. It's just by gathering data about yourself and then selling this data on the public market. So in terms of privacy in the blockchain, it's a right moment to reclaim our data. First, to reclaim our data.
That's a big difference between Europe and the US, isn't it? So Europe's bringing in, or European Union is bringing these new laws where
GDPR.
And I think we're both EU citizens right now and get to own our data. But like the US where I live now and you lived before, kind of whoever harvests your data owns it, right?
Yeah. Well, that was today or yesterday. The US stopped the net neutrality system, meaning that the provider will have more control of what's going on the internet. I mean, internet has to be. Internet is a free tool. It's used for free speech. You know, it has to be used by anyone. It's not like you when you walk in the street or like you go outside your house. You don't pay normally. You don't pay to just access this special street, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make internet. If you want to use this web page that charge super fast, then you need to pay more money. If you want to do if you want to access this platform, then you need to give your data for like specific reasons, which I think is very scary. And with blockchain, so if you look at
so if we move to a decentralized blockchain, would that even be possible? Does this mean like the internet as we know it in America is going to die and wither a little bit, and there'll be this new blockchain that people like tech are going to be using?
Well, if you think about internet at the moment represent only 5% of the real internet. The internet, you know, is less than 5%. The rest is what people, the lobbying and massive institutional corporation like to say the darknet, because they like to scare people. They say, oh, darknet is used for doing bad things and all stuff, which is not true. The darknet is actually the real internet. It's a peer-to-peer protocol system using Tor. You basically make connection and talk to people freely from a peer-to-peer. So what we're building with blockchain is basically this. So I think it's very bad that the US is doing this kind of net neutrality and stopping and everything, but it will actually push people to use different systems. And this has always been like that. If you try to stop people, if you try to private them, or if you try to stop them doing stuff, they will find other ways and they will just accelerate. So by stopping, it's like a dictator. By stopping people doing stuff, you just scale and it will be much faster. So you got this guy that create, you can look on internet, that was the first creator of Firefox, Mozilla, which is a competitor of Google, but it's got better values. And now he created a system called Brave, which is, Brave. So brave yourself, which is basically the first, is turning the entire Explorer like instead of Google and Firefox and Mozilla, is building the new one, which should be powered by the blockchain. So now you have token, you can create token and you can reward people on the internet. So what we're building with the new internet will be basically an internet. In order to access the internet, you will have a crypto wallet. And by doing interaction on the internet, by maybe doing you commenting something and someone like your comment, you will be rewarded like automatically into your wallet. If someone posts a video, if you post a video on Twitter or somewhere, instead of Twitter generating money because you post the video, you will be generating directly money to yourself. Like if someone posts a music and someone wants to reuse this music, the singer will be automatically getting paid by the people liking it.
We're talking about a whole new parallel system. So you're not talking about the internet changing. We're talking about a parallel system developing next to it, getting bigger and bigger. So if you're saying in like 10 years, there'll be the blockchain internet, which could be small or could be medium or could be really big. And the current internet is this corporate playground. So the difference between a shopping mall and your local high street with... It's my grandma used to say, if you get something for free, there must be something going on, you know, because there's nothing for free. So when you get online and you get Chrome and you go to Chrome and you say, oh, Chrome is fantastic. I mean, I love Chrome. Chrome is good. Technologically speaking, Chrome is fast, Chrome is strong, and it's very stable, but you get it for free. So meaning that Google, they don't build something for free, you know? So it's the same. I think I always said that, but mentioned this, but it's like when Google sell the phone, the Android phone. Yeah. I think we spoke about this in our chat in the bar, not on video, but yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Well, you want me to continue?
Say it.
I like to take this as an example because all the people use the phone. So for me, it's very it's quite a strong argument. But when you buy the phone, the Android phone, or like a Google phone or something, Google, you buy it for 700 euros or maybe 900 euros. And now like Apple sell the iPhone for more than 1200 US dollar, which is ridiculous. But you feel like you actually buy something, and which is pretty expensive. But Google don't really care about you buying this device for 700 euros. They will probably make like 1.5 billion or 1 billion, but they make 150 or 120 billion revenue profit at the end of the year. So this has to come from somewhere. So basically, by selling you the phone, the Android phone, they, instead of you buying a product, they just turn yourself into a product without knowing about it. So, which is very, I mean, it's a fantastic business model. Basically, they sell something which is a platform, which is a bridge. So they sell you something that make you walk into the bridge, and they can collect everything about you. So when sometimes they say, I don't know if you notice this, but on your phone, you've got some notification system saying, oh, by the way, you should turn on your GPS because we're gonna give you more, better advice, better recommendation on your Google Map or anything, or you'll be like popping up some advice, advertising for you to purchase some good stuff. At the end of the day, they don't want to provide you some, like giving you some good recommendation system. By collecting your GPS location data every time, like real time, they can sell this data analytics to people in the public market. So that's the reason why then when you come back to Google, Gmail, or you surf the internet, then you got a pop-up about, I don't know, like someone wants to sell a bike. And you remember, you actually never text anyone for buying a bike, but just because you passed through the bike shop or you went into the bike shop in the city, people exactly know that you're looking for a bike. And then they can build a profile about you. So they can do like profiling, and then they can build this data analytics. And the same with Facebook. Facebook is probably the biggest, now you got news about the executive part of the team of Facebook. He said Facebook is you shouldn't be using Facebook. But you've got other people saying, it's the same. I mean, I think there was Snowden or someone else said that Mark Zuckerberg is probably the biggest dictator worldwide, because by pushing news and pushing information and collecting information about you, you're just a product. Every single day of your life is a product life.
Okay, so look, I think I need to have a whole separate conversation with you around everything we've just spoken to in the last 5 minutes around this alternative internet, around Zuckerberg and around whatever else. But we've been speaking for nearly an hour. But what I want to do is maybe ask a couple of questions just to do you know what, we've just spoken about everything in 5 years, but help me understand what's happening like right now. So, well, not everything, because that's too long as well. But right now, you're working mainly in Ethereum. Why Ethereum? Is it the main thing? What about Ripple? You know, there's like a format fight right now and I guess I should probably just say for people that don't get it, Ethereum and Bitcoin and these other businesses, they're like the foundations that other dApps and other businesses get built on top of, right? So it's what kind of foundation do you build, or not really?
Not very. I mean, Bitcoin, all those Bitcoin, Ethereum, all those coins and all this different technology, they have something similar. They have something in common, which is the blockchain. Yeah? Blockchain is on the bottom. Blockchain is a tool that can allow them to make their...
And a blockchain is a way of doing things rather than a piece of technology, right?
Well, no. Blockchain is a decentralized database. It's just a database. It's basically just registry for saving transaction info. So
yes, it could be any technology can be built on a blockchain. Blockchain itself isn't a piece of technology. It's a way of building technology.
No, it's a technology.
Okay.
So it's on the bottom. It's okay. Like, it's a technology. It's on the bottom. So it's with blockchain powers technology on the top. But what I want to say is basically Bitcoin was created in first, like in the white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto. That still we don't know who's this person or the group of person. And the white paper was there in 2008, end of 2008, 2009. So the main goal of this guy, which was like a mind-blowing white paper. So people in the mathematics and I first got into it in 2010 in the US. And the end goal, what he was actually trying to build is a digital cash. And digital cash is in a physical world. I mean, we'll talk about Bitcoin and trying to big picture, but Bitcoin just simply is at the beginning was a digital cash, meaning that the main goal of Satoshi Nakamoto was to build a system when you transfer money to the internet, you only pay 0.1 cents, meaning that this transaction cannot be recorded on the bank system, financial banking system, because it's too low. That was basically building a digital cash. So Bitcoin, the beginning of Bitcoin was to build a digital currency on a decentralized digital currency. Then you've got the Vitalik build this paper, who created this paper. I mean, genius guy, 19 years old person. And Ethereum is something different. Ethereum is not money. Ethereum is basically the new internet. The vision of Ethereum is providing a platform. So it's a platform. So you got the blockchain, which is the kind of protocol, and then the Ethereum platform. And then on top of it, you got like decentralized application. So we can talk about voting system. We can talk about prediction market. We can talk about all the different stuff are built on top of Ethereum. So Ethereum is not money.
All right, but a lot of people consider Ether money, and obviously there's a lot of ICO, cryptocurrency kind of madness going on right now. So Ether it's all right. So when we talk about coins and tokens, which we're not necessarily talking about money, we're talking about like a tool, I guess, and that tool might have value, but it's a tool. Because conceptually, I still find it quite weird to get my...
So in order to encapsulate this value in a new project, they've got this principle of token. So token is something you generate that much of token, and this token can be fungible. So basically, you can divide them by multiple units, and then you split them into your network, and then you make people buying those tokens because you guarantee them that the application you're building, the decentralized application you're building, will be powered by. The only way to use this application will be by using those tokens, which for me, it's kind of a big lie. I mean, at the moment, we don't really know what it goes, because the thing is like, I mean, I like to follow Vitalik, but I was also saying that way before, like about a year and a half ago. I do think that 99% of all the ICO are scam. People just use them to make a lot of money. Yes. So basically what their vision is, it's not about technology anymore. It's just about the market. If you got a good marketing, if you pay a lot of money for marketing and do like a good landing page and provide people with the vision, then people will just buy it. And it's just crazy. You're trying to tell people, but this cannot be, this cannot work, or this is not possible. And people look at you and they're like, no, that's not true. I saw the video and I watched the video. And you're like, yeah, that's just a video. That's just marketing. This is not technology. And they're like, because the thing is like, it's kind of like a religion now. It's just like kind of a belief, It's like trying to convince someone that the belief of the stuff that you actually truly believe is true or false. It'd be like, it just go against you. And now I feel like the ICO is just like a religion. It's a new ICO religion. People like they say like, oh no, this is possible. This is like this guy. I'm not gonna mention them because I got like, but there was a startup that want to build a system for the solar, and and in the video they build this device that they send to the sun, and then the device gather and fetch the power from the sun, and then they get the device back to Earth to save energy. I mean, it's just stupid. I mean, it's just like, as a video, people are like, oh, it's fantastic. You're like, come on, it's just like a little device like this, like a phone. You send a phone to space and then get your charge and you get it back. I mean, all these kind of different things. And so my point,
forgetting, just because we're on the call, forgetting about the ICO madness right now. Is Ethereum going to be the main building block? Is it going to be Ripple? Is it going to be the next new thing? Or are we going to have new kind of base technologies every 2 years or something that's a little bit better? Is there going to be a quantum computing kind of blockchain like Ethereum? But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm an Ethereum guy, and if I try to stay objective, I like what Ethereum has been doing, and Also, it's a foundation, it's a non-profit foundation. So Ethereum is a non-profit foundation, so the main goal is not to make money and build and change the world. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. And I know people being involved in Ethereum, and they're very, as far as I can see, they're very trustworthy people. They're trying to build like a new kind of technology. And so Ethereum is always, it's first open source. So you can see all the code on GitHub, all the code. So like on YouTube, you can follow all the code. We got like improvement proposal that you can follow. So everything is being public. So that's a problem. I mean, it's not a problem, it's actually fantastic. But talking about people, what they do, they just copy the code, they just modify, and then they take all the information and then they try to build another system. You mentioned Vipol. I think Vipol, it goes against the blockchain spirit. It goes against it because Vipol is being developed by banking system. And the bank, what they're trying to do, they're trying to keep their business, because I'm not nothing against bank. I mean, we can talk about bank and business model. I actually have a lot of sets about bank, but they know this is coming. They know they're going to be disrupted. I mean, the taxi industry, they were saying, no, it's not possible. Uber came by someone that actually never take a taxi before. Boom, got disrupted. Airbnb, hotel industry. Hotel was probably one of the biggest lobbying with finance in the world. Hotel, they got disrupted. The last one, the biggest one, which control the entire world, which control the entire government, is finance. Finance is the biggest one. At some point, they know they're gonna be disrupted. And so what they do at the moment, they use lobbying. So they got the CEO of a big company saying, 10 years ago, that was like, Bitcoin is very bad, blockchain is very bad, it's a scam, it's a bubble. 10 years later, well, basically like almost 10 years later, they're like, Bitcoin is very bad, but blockchain is fantastic. So they're just changing, and they're just to keep their business, trying to generate money as much as possible. But they know this is actually coming, and there's nothing you can stop, because you cannot stop this centralization.
Okay. All right, look, I think we've been talking for like an hour and 10 minutes, so I'm going to call it today. But I would love to talk to you another day, maybe next year when you have time, and talk around more of these subjects, because I really appreciate your insight. And you obviously know it inside out. Because I think, to be honest, most people I talked to in the blockchain have very naive attitudes. So, you know, I've not spoken about my views, but I hear a lot of people talking about blockchain, and like my parents were refugees, and I used to go to communist Poland when I was a little kid and see how it was like and hear those stories. And so I kind of hear bits of what blockchain can do, and it feels like the tools of an authoritarian state. So that scares me as well, but I don't want to be paranoid. So
I think blockchain is just about connecting the entire world together and build something called Earth. That's it. So everyone is just a citizen of the world, basically. And
that's a beautiful quote to end on. So I'm going to end it there.